My God, do we have a solved mystery for a change?
Be the judge. Right to unsolved mystery.
Slow your roll, Robert Stack. I think we might have some answers to the question around Nat Turner's MJ PSA 10. We've got new information. Stick around. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. Thank you for joining me again here today for another video. If you're looking for average hobby content / entertainment,
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
you have come to the right place. We are here just about every single day. And we will continue on. Make sure to connect with me on IG at SportsCardDad, where I share a lot of my pickups. And I'm also tweeting back and forth with folks on the Twitter machine, so check me out there as well, the SportsCardDad. Shout out to today's video sponsor, ComC.com, your home for buying, selling, and flipping all the hottest trading cards. Their consignment marketplace home to now more than 30 million trading cards, from baseball superstars like Aaron Judge to Marvel favorites like Spider-Man. ComC has something for every type of collector. Visit ComC.com today to build your collection with your favorite cards. ComC is a fun place to hang out. Definitely check them out, guys. All right, recently Nat Turner, and this is the owner / chairman of PSA Collectors Universe. They are the big grading company. Yes, that grading company. Nat Turner had a card that was graded by PSA that was a little bit questionable. Came in a PSA 10, and it was an MJ insert card from the 90s. He likes to collect a lot of the 90s basketball stuff along with a lot of vintage baseball. But this was kind of one of those cool 90s inserts. Very interesting design, intricate. But what the issue was it looked like there was literally a gash out of the front of the card, and it was sitting in a PSA 10 holder. So, of course, a lot of people seeing it were like, whoa, wait a second. This looks a little bit fishy, a little weird. So Nat has responded with a tweet. He was on the Twitter, and I'm going to quote him here. Turns out what appeared to be a missing stock / surface damage was actually peel from the manufacturing process on top of the card, which peeled off. Now, first off, let me just give Nat Turner credit. I mean, here's the reality is he doesn't really have to respond to anything. He posted something, it is what it is, and he is the owner of PSA or Collectors or whatever his title is now, chairman, part owner, whatever, founder, I don't know, not the founder. But he doesn't really have to respond to anything. But this is something where obviously he thought that it was weird too, investigated himself, and so this is something I give him credit for. At least he's going and looking to see what the hell is going on. But as I read this statement, it kind of makes me have more questions. It's just more questions popping up. I'm going to see if I can put kind of the tweets up here around me so you can kind of see what I'm talking about as I'm talking. So basically what went down here is it's not actually a gash, but it's just a piece of the card that was able to be peeled off. It was regraded, and I believe it was regraded a PSA 10. So I guess when they peeled it off, there was no surface damage or whatever. And I think that there's, like, my first question is, I think hobby purists, a faction of hobby purists, let me say that, because there's all these different factions within the hobby. So I don't want to put any one person in a bucket, but I think there's going to be a segment of people that are like, hey, you had that was how it was manufactured. It should stay exactly the way that it's manufactured. It shouldn't be touched. I'm not saying the card is altered if you're peeling off the piece, but I don't know. I'm sure there's some people that might question it, might say like, hey, if that's the way the card was made, then that's the way the card was made during the manufacturing process. Also, how are we able to distinguish what happened during the manufacturing process and what happened, at somebody's house, or what happened, through the history of that particular card? I think that's kind of tricky too. With this, I assume maybe they've looked at enough of these types of cards where they've seen this before, and maybe they understand the manufacturing process more than the layman person, more than the average Joe. I really don't know. But what happens, I don't know, in the manufacturing process if, Jim is eating bacon, a piece of bacon flops down onto the card. It's manufactured that way, but the piece of bacon's just sitting perfectly in there, or I don't know, a piece of cookies or whatever the hell. Is that thing not necessarily surface damage, but part of the manufacturing process? And I know people are going to say, Dustin, you're crazy. You're going way out. You're thinking of all this crazy stuff that's way out there. You can't talk like that. But no, I think that this is kind of a valid question, is if it's what is considered part of the manufacturing process. I think that's a very vague and general thing. How do you know it was part of the manufacturing process and not something that comes after the manufacturing process? Very, very tricky. I guess my big question is, what constitutes a surface issue or surface damage? That's something that I think that each grading company probably has their own grading standards, and I assume it probably has a little bit to do with each grader that's looking at the card. It probably could differentiate between which grader actually touches it at any given company. So this is a very interesting subject, because if you think about aesthetically, we look at cards, and to the naked eye, if you're looking at this on the internet like we are with a million cards, whether it be on eBay or PWCC or whatever, you look at that thing and it looks like there's a piece missing. It's extremely difficult to tell that that is, something that was just part of the manufacturing process, if that's what it was. So it kind of makes me rethink a lot of just surface issues. I mean, when you think about, all types of different cards, it's sitting in a slab, but there might be something that looks a little bit off that might not be something that's off. I don't know. I don't really know what to make of this. This is just, my mind's blown a little bit. I don't know. So anyway, of course, we bring it to you all, and we push it down to the comments section. Everybody has their own opinions. And look, there's people that have been in the hobby a lot longer than I have, frankly. I've been back in for almost 5 years. There's people that have been in far longer. They know way more about grading. They know way more about the manufacturing process. I think for me, though, when I look at this and I just look at things as a whole, if you think about the amount of money, the difference in price between, a PSA 8, PSA 10, or an SGC 5, SGC 8, or whatever it is, BGS 3 and 5, I think it's such a case-by-case basis, as this illustrates. And again, it kind of goes back to the buying the card, not the grade. You can have, two different PSA 10 side by side, and one of them has what looks like a gash, but isn't a gash, and the other one that has no gash or nothing. And is one worth more than the other? Is there a 10 that is better than the other 10? And so I think, again, you hear a lot of people say like, hey, look, buy the card, not the grade. It's a very kind of cliche thing to say. Most people, they just buy the grade. And I think for a lot of, fairly basic cards, especially on the ultra modern side that are just kind of quickly transacted, it's probably not a bad take. It's not a bad idea, but the past few years of cards, that's a limited pocket, a data set. Whereas you've got cards that go back. I mean, look at how intricate this card is, this insert card from the 90s, and then you got vintage, and you got all these different style of cards, and beauty is going to be in the eye of the beholder, and we all have to make our buying decisions based off of these sorts of things. Interesting topic, and I think good debate item. So we put it out into the universe, and we listen to you all. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.